What's going up? What's up, guys? Welcome to another bonus edition. I'm your host, Eric with the most. I have no idea. Welcome to another bonus edition on the 1 Minute News. These bonus editions, for anyone that's new, just a little reminder, these are a biased show, and we just discuss questions that you sent into me. So if the show is terrible, it's my fault, but it's also your fault. So make sure you get really great questions into me on time, as soon as possible. Ask me my thoughts on society, culture, Trump, Joe Biden, Barack Obama. That's the worst Barack Obama impression. Anything. You can ask me anything. Make sure to get those questions into me. I am drinking a hazy little thing called IPA. Hazy little thing called IPA. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, whatever day it is. I know some of you guys that listen to the bonus episodes, you take your time throughout the week and listen to them as you're driving in your car, you're in traffic, you're hating life, and you want an escape from life just like me sometimes, and that's why I listen to long-form podcasts. So, let's go right off the bat into the real questions, the hard questions, the questions that nobody will answer except for me. Ready? How do you take your coffee? That's a great question. Thank you for sending that in to me. I take my coffee black. I roast my own coffee, actually. I'm thinking about selling some roast, maybe the 1 Minute News roast. Would you guys be interested in that? I'm roasting an Ethiopian blend. I do my own home roast every week, and I roast a bunch for the whole week, and I drink it all week long. So I have fresh coffee at my house all week long. And of course, I don't grind it. And I usually either do a pour over in a Chemex, or I have like a Bonavita coffee maker that pre-wets the grounds and then slowly brews it in like a mug kind of thing. It's fantastic. I enjoy it. It's easy. But it's honestly, fresh coffee is so important. I don't understand how so many people drink old coffee or just already ground coffee. If you're drinking coffee that's already ground and is not in the bean form when you make it in the morning, you are missing out on so much flavor. It's unbelievable. And most people are like, I don't like coffee. It's terrible. I don't know. I went into Trump just now. I don't like coffee. It's like the worst. I need like a pumpkin spice latte or something. If there might be a reason. You might be just drinking crappy coffee. So make sure coffee's fresh. Maybe DM me, ask me, and I could sell you some of my own home coffee, an Ethiopian blend. I usually make a medium to light roast coffee because the lighter the coffee, the more flavor and the more caffeine. The people that tell you dark roast has more caffeine are lying to you. That's the first lesson in coffee. You're welcome. So I drink it black. Sometimes in the afternoon, I like to put a little cream in it just for funsies. A little extra calories. I don't know why, but it just changes the day up. Another deep question. What are your thoughts on the lockdown? So the lockdown was, at first, I remember when this whole COVID thing went down, I was, just like all you, I was probably pretty freaked out and wondering, is this thing for real? Are we all going to die? And, everyone was hyping up. I remember those videos of people just like collapsing in the streets. And then in China, those videos of people being locked in and I just remember them like bolting doors shut and chaining doors shut and welding doors shut. I remember seeing those welding doors shut as people were like screaming in the background. It looked like a scene from a movie or just like hell. Like my picture of hell is like that. And it just freaked me out. And I think everyone else got freaked out. I remember seeing people getting like trying to like go through checkpoints, and then like a Chinese official like put a net over a guy's head and then threw him in a car, like crazy stuff like that. I remember seeing that and I was being like a little freaked out. So like at first I was like, lockdown, yes, we need a lockdown totally to avoid. Plus my wife is an ICU nurse, and so I was worried about her and her position and what was going on in her life and all that stuff. So I was all for the lockdown. And then I started thinking about it. You can only do lockdown for so long. For so long, you can only print so much money, or its money becomes worthless. You can only, people need to eat. It was, and it's people that have money, have a full-time job, are in the news media, are politicians. They're pushing for a lockdown because they're fine. They have a job, they have money coming in. It's not a big problem. They're already multimillionaires. I don't know how these politicians, as soon as they get in the office, they sign a book deal or they go on these speaking runs. And, Barack Obama is like a multimillionaire now. And he's like, Clintons are and Bush was already, but, I just, as soon as like a politician becomes a politician, you're just like, you're going to be a multimillionaire, you're fine. And so when they tell people like me who live in like a 1-bedroom apartment, keep locking down, keep shutting down. And I started to freak out because money isn't free, and you can give me as much money as possible, as you want, but that money will become worthless eventually because no one's working and the money is just printed. It's not even, it has no monetary value after a while. And so I think that you can lock down for a little bit, but to keep going, or like when Biden says, I'm gonna listen to the scientists. You can't do that. People need to live. People need to survive. People need to eat, and people become savages when you take the basic essentials away from them. And this idea that all these, I hated when I saw these celebrities like, we're in this together. You're like, no, you're not. You're not in this like me. Okay, I see your backyard. I don't even have a backyard, okay? You are not in this like me. So get off my back about it. What are your views on the lockdown? I just think we can't do it anymore. We can't do it again. We can't keep printing money. People need to work for the economy and also just for their mental health. Mental health is such a huge thing. Having purpose, having purpose, having life value, having just this existential idea of life and purpose. And that is so huge to the mental psyche and how you function as a human being. And to say that you can just lock down and sit in a room by yourself and watch Netflix all day and not have suicides, not have depression, not have, divorces, physical abuse, mental abuse, spousal abuse, child abuse. These things are real, and these things are affecting people. I, as a teacher, was so afraid of some of my kids who I know that their home life isn't the best. And even now we're not in a full schedule. I worry about those kids all the time because I know when they go home, they're not doing homework. And I know they're not, being helped by their parents because their parents are busy with their own work. So I just lock down. I worry more about mental health than I do about, this pandemic, because I just feel like this pandemic will have effects that we will see in the future based on people's mental and spiritual health. You'll just see it as churches are still locked down. And I'm just wondering what the world is going to be like. I mean, obviously the riots and all that stuff, people are mad, but also people have been locked down and they're looking for an excuse to get outside and get their frustration out. What are your thoughts on lockdown? I don't think it's a good thing. I think I see it as negative, especially as we continue to see the science of the real numbers coming out and who is really affected, and people with comorbidities. Golly. They're the real, people that we need to look out for, and especially the older people. But that goes the same with, heart disease, obesity, the flu. There's more stuff out there, car wrecks. There's stuff out there that kills people. And I also think lockdown, people for the first time were face to face with the idea of death. And I think a lot of people, especially my age or younger, were thinking about death for the first time in their life. And because of social media, it's just exaggerated a little bit and hyped up, where people were just freaked out. And because they don't feel secure enough in their lifestyle and who they are, maybe religiously, or just them as a person to like, if I was to die tomorrow, am I okay with that? And I think people were really scared about that, and they're just like screaming things like, just put on a mask and like stuff like that, because they're just so freaked out because they don't want to die. Okay, I don't know if that makes any sense. And again, you can disagree with me. I could care less. I'm not saying I'm speaking truth. I'm just going off the cuff. I haven't done any research to these questions. Another question. Do you like going to movies, or do you prefer watching them at home? Great question. Love these kind of questions. I love going to the movie theater. In fact, I just went to the movie theater and saw that movie Tenet, the Christopher Nolan film. And I can't tell if I hate it or absolutely love it. I thought it was beautifully shot. I thought the writing was kind of poor and just felt rushed the entire time. Have you seen that movie Tenet? I recommend seeing it. So movies like that, I highly recommend seeing in theaters. You don't want to go see Tenet at home in like a 50-inch screen or smaller with, distractions going on. You're in your apartment, somebody telling you to turn it down. You're in your house and somebody knocking on your door. You want to be in a theater or like Dolby Digital Theater where it's loud and crazy and the screen is big and you're just captivated by the beauty of how it was shot and just the it's like big box films like The Dark Knight or like any kind of Christopher Nolan film or like Star Wars or superhero films or like, what was that, 1917, that any war films, stuff like that. I think you have to see those in theaters. But dramas, I don't care to see those in theaters. Like, I like seeing them in theaters, but I think you can easily watch those at home. So for me, it just depends on the type of movie. Especially, I think dramas they're almost better at home because you can hide or you can be alone and just grow with the characters. I don't know. Maybe I'm just going off in the deep end right now. So I think it just depends on the type of movie for me. What if it's better to watch at home or go to the movies? But I always prefer the movies. There's this AMC theater near my apartment that has those seats, recliner seats that you go down. That just changes the whole movie experience, man. You just get in those recliners, they're all sweaty and fake leather and someone's been spitting on there, but you have your own chair. You're not fighting for the armrest. Do you remember the theaters where you're fighting for the armrest? God, I hated that. And there was always like a big dude or like a small person that you're like, why are you even? I'm like 3 times bigger than you. Don't take my armrest. But I do not miss that. It's like an airplane. You're like, I need my space, man. I need to watch this movie. Okay. What is your go-to guilty pleasure? Go-to guilty pleasure would be, are we talking food? If we're talking food, I think just like a box of chocolate chip cookies. I haven't like gone to town on chocolate chip cookies in a minute and in a while, but there's something about chocolate chip cookies that are especially like gooey cookies that I just can't resist. That when I see like gooey box of chocolate chip cookies and by myself in my house, I realize then and there that I have an eating addiction because I look at those cookies and go, I need those right now and no one's watching and I could just eat all of them and no one will know except for me and I'll feel like crap later. But it's totally worth it. So like a box of chocolate chip cookies, that's me. How old were you when you had your first celebrity crush? Let's see. I think I was about 12 or 13. I think my first celebrity crush, I can't remember who came first, but maybe at the same time. And there was like just a moment that I remember like finally realizing like girls were hot. Like they weren't just like annoying or like, cause I had sisters. So I was just like, girls are so annoying. I hate them, but I just want to play sports. That was my life. So God, it just sounded so douchey just now, but, so I think I was like 13 and I just had, I remember all my friends being like, Britney Spears is so hot. And I was like, yeah, she is hot. And then I started really getting into how hot she was. And like, I think I even bought that stupid CD just to like be a part of the how hot she is cult. I don't know. And I had a huge thing for Jennifer Lopez. I Jennifer Lopez and Britney Spears, those two girls, I was just like, they were my first crush. I had totally had a crush on them. It was like, one day I'm going to meet them and I'm going to totally marry them. And that would never happen. It is kind of amazing to see how crazy Britney Spears is. Like, just seeing her go on the deep end. Remember she shaved her head? And then there was like that picture that came out of her coming out of a limo. And you were just like, oh, God, no. Kind of like Chris Evans. But, yeah. Okay. So that is all the questions this week. Some news that came this week. Donald Trump had a little rally yesterday, and he said something. I'm going to negotiate a third term in the White House because I feel entitled because it's based on the way the news media treated me. Okay. At this point, if you are like seriously considering he's serious, he's like a guy he's like Andy Kaufman. Some people just don't get it, and then some people do. And I think the people that absolutely hate Donald Trump just never understand that he is just trolling you and trying to make you crazy. And somebody who knows that or believes that, like I believe that. I generally believe that he doesn't mean that, and he is just saying that to drive people crazy. Because I would too. If the media was after me the way they are after him, and just nitpicking him for every little thing he does, even if it's good or bad. And some of the bad stuff, he deserves it. But just the way they treat him, I would say stuff just to drive people crazy too. Because I think the people that support him understand that he's joking and laugh. It's like somebody going to a comedy show of a comedian they just don't get. And then they're sitting there and they're like, well, this person is just not funny. And you look at them like, it's because you don't get it. or do you not understand this person is joking? Like, I don't understand that. And then we saw the two cops get shot the other night. That concerns me. I don't want to see more of that. And the fact that people came up and were protesting the hospital and were blocking the entrances. And then you could see these people with video cameras saying like, hey, I want to just deliver a message to the family that I hope they effing die. And that's just sick. It's disgusting. And I think a lot of media people aren't reporting about that. And it just kind of shows how biased they are and what kind of narrative they want to push. I constantly see all my liberal leftist friends talk about how, these riots aren't really a big deal and it's just, a few people opportunists. And that's fine, but they're also a part of the group that's shouting the same thing. And I'm also watching these NFL players talk about how, I want to remember this time as a positive thing, not negative. And I think that's really important because that's like saying, Hitler did great things for Germany as a country and progressed, war and tank and the way we fight wars. But I'm going to disregard all the negative he did. That is, in the way he progressed medicine by torturing people. That's not okay. You need to see everything in its full context. And I think this is where I'm going at the end. I was trying to figure out what I'm going to talk about. But I think it's important to see stories in its full context. The media is getting better and better about snipping little segments here and there to create a story. And then they run off a story based on what one person said rather than the actual source. And that's why I kind of started the 1 Minute News, and that's why I continue to do it, because I think that the media is just full of liars, and they manipulate, and even sources that I trust and use in my show, they'll say the truth at the beginning, or they'll say it at the end, and then the other 99% of it is just conjecture, commentary, and taking people out of context in order to create a narrative that fits their political agenda. I I just worry about, I mean, and it's ramped up even more because it's election year, and you kind of notice that. I mean, right now, Donald Trump did that interview with Woodward, and you're like, what, are you an idiot? Like, why would you do that to, especially that guy? But what was he saying about COVID? Like, he was like downplaying it, and like, that is like such an easy T-ball for Biden to hit out of the park. I mean, right now, I think 60 Minutes or whatever is doing a huge segment on that with Woodward, and they're going to run the story forever because Trump paints Trump negatively, and that is drives up clicks for people on their agenda, and also gives MSNBC to come up with something new as opposed to, because they started talking about Russia again. All of a sudden, you're like, really? We're going that route? I guess we're clutching for straws. But it's important to see people in their full context. It's important to see stories in their full context, not just one negative or bad thing. Just like in history, you can't take, if somebody did one bad thing, but 99% of the time they did great things, you can't just look at that 1% and say that person is bad because of this. It's just like my life. I've done, terrible things. I've done horrible things. I've said things to people to their face. I've said things in my head, and because I'm selfish and I, want what's best for me. And number one, and I would hope to be remembered in my full context of some of the good I did, because I feel like majority of my life is full of serving people and loving people and helping people, rather than the few instances of me wanting to be selfish and look out for myself. So I think this week, as we progress as a society and we progress in this election, let's try to look at people in its full context. Look at Donald Trump in its full context. Look at the things he did. Look at the things he didn't do. Look at Joe Biden in his full context. Look at the things he did. Look at the things he didn't do. It's important to vote on somebody based on all the things they did, not just the negatives, not just the positives. It's easy to be so biased in our head to not look out for what's best for the common person. And just because it's good in the moment doesn't make it good in the future. So remember the context. And maybe remember somebody in your life that maybe hurt you or said something negative to you, but majority of the time has been really nice to you. Maybe you need to forgive that person in your head. Maybe you need to go up to them and say, hey, you've always been nice to me. There was this one time you hurt me, and I want you to know that, but I know you're a good person on the inside, because we need to look at each other in their full context. Right now, we're just taking snippets and throwing at words like racist or bigot or homophobe, just based on silly, quick instances, and not looking at people in their full context. Look at that person, see them as a person, see them as whole, and then we will progress as a society, and we will learn to love each other and see each other as equals, see each other as humans, and be able to forgive and be able to grow together. Because right now, there's people on certain sides that would rather tear us apart and segregate ourselves. I mean, I just saw this morning that 19 black families bought 97 acres in Georgia to create a black safe space. That is the most racist idea I've ever heard. And people, are praising this because there are people out there that actually think segregation is a good idea. It's like that white fragility woman. She would probably applaud that. I mean, she's a self-proclaimed racist herself. She says when she walks in a room full of black people, she gets nervous. I've never had that feeling before. Should I start having that feeling? Because I feel like that's racism. Look at people in their full context. Look at stories in its full context. Don't just read headlines. Read the whole story. Or watch the 1 Minute News, because I will promise you that I will do my best to understand a full story in its context before I put it out there. Yes, sometimes I get it wrong. And yes, I am biased in the stories I choose in which to present. That's the only bias I can say that I have control over, but I also can't control, because I have to choose a certain amount of stories. I can't say everything in a 1 minute. I try to pick the top stories of the day. I don't always pick the stupid, rumored stories, or just like, hey, this new book came out and there's this new quote that you need to know that could be true or could not be true, but it's scandalous, so click this link. I will not do that. I will do my best to look at stories in their full context, to look at people in their full context, and see them as human, and see the stories as about humans. And so we can understand, because it's just like you can't look at somebody or an organization and say that thing is racist. That includes cops, that includes white men, includes white women, includes black women, includes black men, includes Hispanics, includes Latinos, includes Asians, includes, people from all sorts of life. We have to look at them in their full context and what we know about them, not just these quick snippets where people either say something stupid or act out in a stupid way. Maybe you're like me, and you feel like you're doing a great job in that area, because I like to look at somebody as a person, and I want to get to know them. I don't care what they look like. I don't care what culture they're from. In fact, I enjoy people from different cultures than me, because I like to learn about different cultures, and I like to engage with different cultures, because maybe there's something cool I can start doing that I've never done before. But that's being told now that, like, you can't do that because that's cultural appropriation. But I think cultural appropriation is beautiful. That's how we grow. That's how we pick and choose things that we like from each other's cultures. And we say, hey, I like that. I don't like that. I like that. I don't like that. And that's okay to do. It's not racist to say, I like this. I don't like that. That's like saying, I have to like all sports teams. I can't just like one sport team. It's just these rules that society is trying to push on us, that culture and that news media and celebrities are trying to push on us to say we have to act a certain way, or if we don't, you're a racist or you're a bigot. And you're like, actually, I don't think I am. I've never thought negatively of somebody that's different than me, but there's things that I don't really care about. I'm like, I don't really care about that culture. Like, real talk, I don't care about salsa music. I like salsa dancing, but I've never been in my truck or in my car and just been like, you know what? I need to listen to salsa right now. Like country music. You can't say salsa because you're white, okay? Country music. I'm a white male. I don't care about country music, okay? I like some old country music or like bluesy country music. I like rock. I like blues. I like hip hop. Those are, I like some electronic music, but I like hip hop and rock a lot. And those are that's the music I choose to listen to because I like it. Just because I don't like country doesn't mean I hate white people. It's so dumb. I'm so tired of society telling me if I don't like something, that means you are negative in a certain way. Like, no, I don't say that people who like this music are stupid or something, or like they're dumb, or like, hey, if you like that food, you're an idiot, or hey, if you dress this way, you're dumb, or like you'll never be smart, you'll never amount to anything if you like that kind of music. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to celebrities who tell you to think certain ways. Just be a good person. See each other in their full context. See each other as human beings first. Have empathy towards one another. Encourage one another. Lay your life down for another. Sacrifice your life for another. Give to each other. And we will grow as a society. Segregate, look at differences, say this is my culture, you can't use this culture because it's mine. Those things will pull us apart. Don't listen to those people. They're idiots. Thank you.